Hello everyone, nubkeks here, welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video I'm giving you my guide for Dark Kael. He is the 4th champion you can get from the Doom Tower normal secret rooms, and he's legit. This guy is super good and has already changed up multiple teams on my account, so I'm very excited to show him to you. I have to give a huge shout out to obviously the community. I asked you who I should be booking during CVC, this was yesterday, and overwhelmingly almost 2,000 votes, almost 1,000 votes for Dark Kael. So thank you so much for that, guys. And of course, make sure if you haven't, hit the like button if you like it, but hit subscribe. Make sure to stick around on the channel. You can also hit join if you want. There's I try to pimp this out as much as I can because kind of a newer feature, but you can join like a Twitch sub and you get badges in the chat. I always try to reply to comments. I'm actually going to be recording, for example, a quick video on my Hydra keys from last week just for the members. So I do a few little bits for the members and with the live streams and stuff as well. But yeah, it's pretty awesome having a community like this. But let's dive into Dark Kael. Let's talk about what he does that is so insanely good. So good about him. So his A1, Weaver of Woes, attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 25% chance. That books to a 35% chance to instantly activate 2 poison debuffs or 1 poison debuff and 1 HP burn debuff. This is an amazing A1. So triple hitter, really good against Fire Knight Shield. It works with the Giant Slayer Mastery, and it just pumps out the damage, right? This does a lot of damage, and this is kind of like if you don't have Ninja. It's one of the most common comments I see nowadays is people going, "We wish we had Ninja," right? If you don't have Ninja, this is a very Ninja-esque ability. Now, Ninja himself obviously applies HP burn and blows it up himself. Dark Kael needs someone else to give him a HP burn. He can do some poisons himself, but if you have someone else to give him poisons to blow up, it's even better. But this will just rip through bosses. When this stuff procs, it rips through bosses. Now, in one hit, it's not going to do as much as Ninja's Hail Burn, but we're going to be setting Dark Kael on some bosses to only spam this A1, and you'll see how much damage he can churn out just turn after turn after turn. His A2 then, also amazing. Binding Darkness, 3 turn cooldown when it's booked up. AoE attack has a 75% chance that books to a 100% chance of placing 50% decreased attack for 2 turns, and each critical hit also has a 75% chance books to 100% chance to increase the duration of all debuffs on the target by 1 turn. This is fantastic. So one fun little thing that this does is that he actually increases the duration of debuffs after he puts decreased attack. So if he crits, he's going to put decreased attack for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So 100% uptime on decreased attack. That in itself is pretty solid, right? But extending all the debuffs is just a very special ability, especially with poison explosion comps. And hey, guess what? He's blowing up poisons himself on his A1. So if we stack a whole bunch of poisons on a target, or we spread out HP burns over multiple targets, and we can increase those durations, that can be extremely, extremely helpful. This is a super good ability. And then his A3 is a bit more situational. It's still very good. 3-turn cooldown, 75% chance, books to 100% chance to place 3 poison debuffs and poison sensitivity debuff, all the big versions of these, on the target for 2 turns. Now, this is not an attack, right? So he won't be doing any direct damage or proccing any of his like War Master or Giant Slayer. This will go through Poison Cloud on Hydra, by the way, but of course most of the Hydra heads at time of recording are immune to poison, so you have to sort of pick your targets carefully. But yeah, we're going to only use this sometimes, and actually we're going to see that Dark Kael has gotten way better with the AI updates that came like a week ago, right? Those have completely changed up how Dark Kael can play. This is good situationing. We're going to use this in 1 dungeon, and we're going to turn it off for 2 dungeons. But obviously against that 1 dungeon, against something like the clan boss, this is really good to really just pump out a lot of poisons. And obviously he can then extend them and then blow them up and all the rest. Then he has a cool passive as well. Decreases the crit rate of enemies under 2 or more poison debuffs by 15%. The thing that's good about this is that, of course, your enemies in PvE only have 15% crit rate. They get an extra 15% if they're positive affinity, of course. But if you are neutral affinity or better, positive affinity, they're just never going to be able to crit you, which is a really nice thing. It's a pity, again, that so many Hydra heads are immune to poison. That would just sort of smooth stuff out for Hydra, but against clan boss, against dungeons, it just removes that sort of random chance that you can get one shot, or it really mitigates it, which is a pretty huge deal. How are we going to build Dark Kael? Well, the gear that you're going to put on him actually really depends on what you want to use him for. So by the time you get Dark Kael, you should really be at that point in the game, right? That's a year of clearing Doom Tower normal. So you've been playing the game for over a year. You really want to be building pretty specialized champions. I have him semi-specialized here. I have him specialized enough, but you could do even better, and you want to at least specialize somewhat like this. So what have I built him for? I have built him for dungeon runs. I'm going to show you my dungeon team. So this is a dungeon-focused Kael. So what does he do for dungeons? For dungeons, he's actually pretty fast. He doesn't need to be this fast. I'd say around about 210 speed is going to be just fine. Anything like that. I reworked this reaction banner that he was wearing, and it rolled double speed. So look at this. Rework actually worked out well. So he's actually faster than I need him to be. You want him then for the dungeons. He can be very squishy, but you want him to have high attack. You preferably want 100% crit rate. I left it a little bit low because I'm only using him against Spirit Affinity dungeons, in which case he only needs actually 85% crit rate. I'd say, just generally speaking, getting him to 100% crit rate though is going to be better. I'm going to probably rework him to get more crit rate and drop some of that speed. Crit damage is good. And then accuracy for dungeons, about 250. If you want to be bringing him into potentially Nightmare Hydra or Doom Tower hard stuff, you're going to want more like 330, 350. Okay, so it sort of depends where you're going to use him. But this is, for me, being a pretty good baseline. This is a dungeon-focused Kael that is going to be able to do some stuff in Hydra and Doom Tower. That's what I'm using him for. Now, if you're bringing him into an unkillable clan boss team, I think he can be good there. He's not as good as like Dracomorph or Ninja or Gintoro, that sort of stuff, but I still think he's going to be pretty damn solid. You would, obviously for unkillable, just drop all the defensive stats completely and really just crank up his damage and put him to the exact speed that you need for your unkillable team to keep working. If you're bringing him into a traditional clan boss team, and also looking to really push into Nightmare Hydra, so the higher difficulties of Hydra, what would I be doing with this gear? I'd be saying, okay, you want to keep the crit rate 100% so you can extend the debuffs with his A2, but drop that attack, yeah? Don't worry about crit damage. Just get his HP and his defense higher. That's what you're going to have to do. It's going to be kind of difficult because his base HP is pretty damn low. His base defense is okay, but for, you know, clan boss and for Hydra, you're more interested in his debuffs and proccing all those effects. And you want to keep him alive. So you're going to focus more on defensive stats if he's in a traditional Demon Lord or a Hydra team. So yeah, that's what I've done. His best sets, I have him in triple perception, which is totally fine. For dungeon runs, Relentless would be your best bet. And probably for Hydra as well, Relentless would be your best bet. I simply don't have enough Relentless gear to actually gear him out in it, but Relentless would be your go-to. Alternatively for dungeons as well, there is another dungeon build, which would also be good for Hydra too, which is you put him in Regen and maybe Immortal, or Regen and Perception, and you just crank his HP as high as possible, and you'd have him be like this super tanky guy. I don't think it's necessarily a great build, but it's something to definitely be... to bear in mind that it's something that you can possibly do if you want him to be more of a solo dungeon character. I feel like there's probably better champions for that though, but he can do it. I do believe he can do it. For Masteries then, I have him built like this. So we have him obviously grabbing crit rate. We do have more damage when he's high HP because he should be full HP for most of these dungeon runs. Life Drinker, you know, just in case he does go a bit lower. And we're going to go all the way into Giant Slayer, right? So Giant Slayer is better than War Master when you've got 3 hits or more. He has a triple hitting A1. And this is going to really pay off. Then we have him going down the support tree just for more accuracy, just because why not? Then we have him grabbing Lore of Steel because I have him in triple perception. Evil Eye, just for a bit of turn meter decrease. Then Master Hexer is really the big one to extend the debuffs. That's quite a nice thing to bring in for those dungeons and the situations where we are going to use his A3. Then I'm not actually 100% sure about Sniper. So... increase the chance of placing a debuff. I've heard people say that it does increase the chance to activate debuffs with his A1, but it's really hard to know from the wording. I feel like you really would have to do some direct testing to figure it out. I suspect it probably doesn't work. It's not a huge deal. So the thing you're going to lose out on Methodical, which is stacking up to 10% more damage on his A1. which is only a mild bummer, right? A lot of the damage from his A1 comes from Giant Slayer and comes from exploding debuffs. So this is a bit of missed damage, but it's not a huge deal. I said I'm just going to play it safe and give him Sniper, and I don't really mind. So that's what we've done. Now, let's dive in. Let's see this guy in action. Let us see him in action, where he is now in my end game teams. So Fire Knight is probably his most impressive place. We're going to go into Fire Knight stage 25, and I'll show you the setup after. This is how this team works. Again, shout out to Boomer, I think it was who came up with this. And this is obviously, this team has gotten much better. We have AoE poisons from Tomb Lord, AoE poisons from Elenarl. Dark Kael extends all the debuffs, right? Then we're coming back around, and Elenarl, poof, explodes all those debuffs. And it's an easy one-shot because Dark Kael has extended all the poisons. We come in again. Kymar resets our cooldowns. We throw out all the poisons. Dark Kael extends them. Elenarl, poof, blows them up. Look at that, 25 seconds, we're on to the boss. Pretty nice stuff. Then we come into the boss. Dark Kael is fantastic against this boss as well because he has that triple hitting A1. That's really going to help us. Allure is now going to be doing her thing, keeping the turn meter down. And you can see Dark Kael start slamming. Let's watch Dark Kael. So I have him set up in the AI now to only use his A1. Here he goes. Boom. And look at the chunks just coming off that the Fire Knight HP bar, right? It's really starting to wear him down. There's a bit of luck, you know, there's a bit of luck to it in terms of things can be resisted. Does he actually roll to pop the HP burns, all that sort of stuff? Elenarl lands HP burn with her A1, and the HP burns do more damage than poisons. So we're really hoping that Dark Kael pops the HP burn, hopefully multiple times. Like right there, he didn't, but he's popping that Giant Slayer. And you can see just the damage output that's coming out of him. Sometimes it's lower when he doesn't get any procs, but when he procs Giant Slayer a couple of times, if he pops any of the poisons, he really starts to blow stuff up. And there you go, 122, not too bad. Now, the funny thing is his damage looks really low. Basically what's happening is that that's not calculating the explosion damage, right? That's just his direct raw damage and Giant Slayer. So he's pretty much the same as Allure in that sense, right? Who's also built with 100% crit rate and all of that. What's not calculated in his damage is all of those explosions. And also, of course, the fact that Elenarl can one-shot the waves because Dark Kael ups the duration of all the poisons. So when she activates all the poisons, it's enough damage to actually blow stuff up. You know, I'm actually going to keep that in case it rolls speed. So yeah, that's how he works for the Fire Knight. I'm going to show you the team setup for this and how it works as well. Let's not go to Ice Golem first. Let's go to Dragon's Lair first. Dragon's Lair, surprise, surprise, is also MVP. So the team setup is basically this. It's basically this. So this is the team for Fire Knight. My old Fire Knight team was this, by the way. So Dark Kael actually came in and he usurped Ninja. He usurped Ninja for my Fire Knight team. Now, Ninja's going to come back into it for Dragon. This is the Fire Knight setup. So we've got Tomb Lord. He's just going to do his AoE poisons on the first two waves. And then he's going to open with his triple hitter to get the shield down on the Fire Knight. Elenarl, she's going to open with her AoE poisons, then blow them up. Same thing here, and then just do whatever she wants on the boss. Prince Kymar, he's just going to do his A1. If he crits, he puts more poisons out, so that's really good too. If you've got a Kymar built with high crit rate for dungeon farming, then it's going to be even better. I don't. I have mine just built more for arena and the best sort of arena gear I have, which obviously isn't that good compared to super endgame players. But yeah, that's what he's doing. Same thing on wave 2, but he opens with the reset. And then against the boss, he's sort of free to do whatever. But we've obviously turned off his A2 because we want more poisons from his A1. But he opens with this. This is actually a sneaky little thing for Fire Knight. He opens with this because both of his attacks here are just single hits, yeah? But he has Evil Eye, so he's got that 5% turn meter deplete on his A1 the first time he hits an enemy. So we open with Abyssal Gaze, so that hits the shield because the shield blocks Evil Eye, because then with how I've set it up with my speeds, and you can be checking those as we go, it means that he comes around and he hits Phantom Fire, he hits his A1 just as the shield goes down. We get that little bit of turn meter pushback on the Fire Knight, which just makes it consistent for keeping that shield down. That was a bit of optimization I found out when I was testing after the run yesterday. So Kael for the waves, he's just going to do Binding Darkness and then A1, same thing here. We get to the boss, he's just going to not do either of his A1 or his A2. He's just going to spam his A1 over and over and over again. And this is why the patch last week, or a couple of weeks ago, that gave us this control over per round stuff makes him so damn good. Allure, she's going to open with her AoE on the 2 waves, and then she's just going to be spamming her A1 on the boss. My lure is actually not booked, so if she was, that would also make it slightly faster. But that is the Fire Knight team. Now, the Dragon team is pretty much the same thing, right? Tomb Lord, he's doing pretty much the same thing. Elenarl, the same thing. Kymar, pretty much the same thing. Now, Ninja is going to come in, and he's going to, I guess he's going to hail burn on the boss. And Dark Kael, he's doing pretty much the same thing. We could actually turn these off here. Let's turn those off. Remember to do that. And then just on the boss, just spam his A1. So you come into Dragon. We're going to be doing Dragon 24 just because of the affinity. Dragon 25 is red affinity, so it would not work with this team at all. We're going to be laying in these poisons, putting out more poisons here. Dark Kael extends them. Ninja does some damage. And we come back around and Elenarl pops them. Wave 2, we repeat, same thing, reset. Elenarl slightly faster due to Masteries. It would be better if she was just faster than Tomb Lord, but I just don't have it set up like that quite yet. Same thing. We get to the boss, and yeah, we get the burn on from Elenarl, decreased defense, and Dark Kael starts blasting with his A1. Ninja starts blasting with Hailburn. There we go, the A1 from Dark Kael doing work. Fantastic, more poisons. Blow them up. Look at that damage from Dark Kael. That was like the perfect A1. He started proccing everything. That's exactly what we want to see. There he goes in. He goes in with an A1, but there were no debuffs on this time, so he didn't do too much. He goes in again, Hailburn in again, Combust, and boom, the dragon goes down. Fastest time. Dark Kael's proccing everything there. We get gloves that are useless. 49 seconds for Dragon 24 with Dark Kael. Really cool, right? Phenomenal. And again, it's slightly deceptive once more. Ninja versus Dark Kael. Dark Kael is actually way more important in this composition. Ninja is completely replaceable. We just want someone that's going to do a lot of damage to the boss. So really, any single target damage dealer could work. Dark Kael is really doing way more than Ninja is, because again, he's extending all the poisons, and Elenarl takes all the credit by blowing them up. So he lets us one-shot the 2 waves, and then blowing up the poisons on the boss. He actually is doing, once more, way more damage than it looks like. I realize as well, these are super endgame teams, so I will mention briefly at the end as well. Not briefly, but I'll go into some details as well of 2 other comps that you could make. Yeah, that would obviously not involve Kymars and Elenarls and all of that. But this, I just want to show you that like end game power of Dark Kael. So this is the one for Ice Golem. What do we have here? So we've got a Eurogrim who's coming in and just doing this sort of stuff. Eurogrim. We've got Mithrala coming in this time to keep us alive. This team is not as consistent. Kymar's doing pretty much the same stuff. And Dark Kael, this time is different. We're going to let him do whatever he wants on the boss. So this team is not super consistent. I think I've run it a few times and it does work. I've run it a few times and it does work. So my old Ice Golem team was this. Basically, I've replaced Tomb Lord with Dark Kael. Is what we've done. So no Tomb Lord here, and we've got Eurogrim come in, giving us a speed aura, and yeah, Eurogrim sort of built to solo the boss, but my gear wasn't quite good enough, so he doesn't quite do it consistently. But we lay the poisons, Eurogrim lays more poisons, and this is where Dark Kael is really important to extend those debuffs. Mithrala lays a few more poisons, we combust, and we actually do barely enough damage to clear the wave. I've run this a few times, and sometimes we don't. Like if there's any resists, if you know, we don't get Master Hexer procs on the stuff, depending how many Kymar poisons go out. That was actually perfect. That doesn't always work. Sometimes you don't quite kill the wave and you have to finish them off with your A1s. That is okay. Now, the fun thing here about Dark Kael, you see that? He actually puts his poisons and poison sensitivity straight onto the boss, which is what we want, to be honest. That's pretty damn good for us. Here we go. The boss is going to start slamming us. This actually might be a fail. It is a fail. There we go. So confirmed is not 100% consistent. I ran this about 5 times before we did the video today, and it did work. So sometimes it works, clearly. Sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, we'll come back. You know what? Let's just not recommend this. Let's go back to the drawing board on this. It's going to work sometimes, but not all the time. Sometimes, but not all the time, unfortunately. So that one's a bit dodgy. Usually, I think what went wrong there was Dark Kael didn't do his... I don't know. I'm not sure what went wrong. I actually... Oh, you know what? I've realized what goes wrong is Dark Kael needs to extend the debuffs before Elenarl gets back to combust. I think that's what's happening. So because of the cooldowns, right? We need to extend the poisons before she combusts so we have enough to kill the ads. But because she's got this mastery... I think that's what it is. I think she's a chance to decrease the cooldown. So she, in that situation, I think she blew up the poisons, which pushed the boss over the edge, but wasn't enough to kill the side ads. I think she did that before. I think that's what happened. Not 100% sure, but that might be the issue there. So maybe if we change that mastery, it would work. I don't know. That's something to think about. I don't farm Ice Golem too much, so I'll come back to that one another time. But it can, you know, broadly work. Now, in terms of just dungeons in general, okay, those are some really endgame teams, right? They're really endgame teams. Dark Kael, though, he's going to work in plenty of other teams, right? He's going to work in plenty of other teams. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just turn off his A3 until you get to the boss and then just leave it on. But pretty much any sort of team you throw him into, what's he doing for you? Extending debuffs. He hits pretty hard, decrease attack, and he just blows up the boss. So you could go for like, you know, a more sort of usual sort of, well, not usual, but like a more sort of budgety sort of team. I don't even know what you might do. Like you could easily go in with like a Hex sort of team. I guess you might not have the Hex team by the time you get Dark Kael. Maybe you would. I don't know. You just take your standard enough team, whatever that is, and you put Dark Kael in as the one that's going to do damage to the boss. In that situation, you might want to build him in like that regen set and have the rest of your team die off. He solos the boss. You could do that with like a seer sort of team. So let's see, does anyone run it? So this sort of team, again, he could be in this sort of team here as well. He could replace Ninja and it would probably work. All that sort of stuff. Is anyone actually using Dark Kael on this stage? Doesn't look like they are at the moment. What about stage? Well, they wouldn't be running stage 25. But yeah, I think he can absolutely work on Dragon. He can absolutely work on Fire Knight really well. Let me see. Are there any other teams? I'm sure he's in with some Seer teams possibly as well. So I guess in this situation, like when you don't have poisons or other HP burners, I guess this is where Ninja does become better. So if you're running with Seer, Ninja is better. But if you got poisons like this, that's where Dark Kael really steps up and he becomes better. So here's another Dark Kael. This one's actually using double Elenarl. So it's a bit situational there. But yeah, no, he's solid. He's really, really solid. For other areas of the game, how would he work? So for Hydra, I think he can work on Hydra. I think he can. I think it's going to depend, though, on the particular starting heads. So, like, this rotation is going to be pretty bad for him. We don't have Head of Wrath in the starting thing, which is where that decreased attack that he provides becomes very useful. We also have 2 red affinity heads starting off, which, again, is just really bad for Dark Kael, unfortunately. He's not going to be extending debuffs on them. And then the Head of Decay really messes with him as well, where Head of Decay cleansing debuffs kind of gets in the way of you extending debuffs. So I think Dark Kael, I think he's situational for Hydra. You need to have pretty good affinities for him, preferably. Obviously, if you're in a lower difficulty, you're going to go through the head so quickly. That's not as important. And you're also going to want to really beware of the Head of Decay. So in terms of champions that are going to be good with him, I definitely think Geomancer is going to be amazing with Dark Kael. So Geomancer gives you HP burns, but more importantly, Geomancer, because he is reflecting damage onto the targets he puts burns on, when Kael can come in, Dark Kael, and he can extend those HP burns, that actually does an absolute ton of work for your team. So I might be looking at something like this, right? A Geomancer to put out the burns. Kael can poison the heads that are vulnerable to poison. Kael's putting out decreased attack. He's stopping some of the heads from critting us. Royal Guard nukes. Kael is extending Geomancer's burns. Geomancer's decrease accuracies. And there you've got like a really good solid sort of damage component to your team. Then you'd be looking for something like block buffs with Ugo. And then this is where it gets tricky. I think obviously the best thing to sort of fill this team out would be something like a Sifi and a Krisk. I know. Or a Duchess and a Krisk, basically like a really high resistance Krisk that can tank mischief for you and keep these relatively squishy champions alive. That would be pretty huge. But yeah, it gets more difficult at this point. It gets more demanding on the actual composition that you have. So that's the issue I have a bit with Dark Kael. Like, to make a super good Hydra team, you really need those sort of end game, more of those end game characters. Unfortunately, someone that can tank mischief like Krisk, and obviously I think Krisk and Dark Kael are like the perfect companions, because Krisk puts out decreased defense and decreased attack for 1 turn when he's hit. Dark Kael can extend those, make it more consistent. Krisk puts out decreased speed, but is a bit inconsistent. Dark Kael makes that more consistent. All that sort of stuff. in terms of a more budgety sort of thing, I think, you know, he's going to be sort of fine in a composition sort of like this. This is a composition that I think he's going to be pretty good in. So like AoE HP burn, Dark Kael extends it. That's pretty solid, right? Seal of the Drakes landing some inconsistent decreased speeds, and he extends them, makes them more frequent. Tomb Lord or Stag Knight, someone that's going to come in, put AoE decreased defense, maybe AoE weaken out, and again, Dark Kael can extend them, give you more uptime on something that's inconsistent, or again, Tomb Lord, single target decreased speed, Dark Kael extends it, makes it better. And yeah, then someone like Ninja as well, who's putting out lots of HP burns, Dark Kael explodes. I think he should work really, really well in a team kind of like this. If we take this into, let's take it in for a quick spin on normal. Why the heck not? But I think that's his rough sort of gist. So yeah, like, I mean, pretty much, like, what do I think of Dark Kael? Pretty much, I think he's really good. I think this dude is seriously good, is kind of my opinion. So here we go. Let's go in. We'll increase our attack. Why the heck not? We will not burn them yet. We're going to wait on this. We will come in and let's put out the poisons. Sure, why not? There we go. Then Dark Kael is going to come. Bam. And we actually didn't land. Decrease. I think we want to get a debuff on every head. Is what is going to encourage Head of Decay to actually cleanse them. We'll see if we can make it work. Let's try put weaken on this guy. There we go. So there's a debuff on every head. He should do his AoE cleanse. Hopefully. There we go. AoE cleanse goes out. That's totally fine. Poison Cloud goes on. Now this is where we sort of get going. We get the HP burns out. We get these debuffs out. And yeah, they're going to get through some of these because they're going kind of fast. But hopefully we will just sort of, you know, keep up with them. We can try reduce some of their debuffs here. Cool. Dark Kael can actually come in at this point, and this is pretty nice, right? You can put out poisons on this head, the Head of Decay. Sorry, the Head of Decay over here, the Head of Suffering over here. He can poison those two heads, which is pretty nice. I'm just going to try get some decreased speeds for Dark Kael to extend, hopefully. And we'll just try hit whatever head we sort of want here. Okay, cool. Can hit this head, that's fine. Actually, probably shouldn't hit that head. We're hurting Dark Kael a good bit. Probably not ideal. Put a decreased speed over there. All right, lovely. We can increase our attack once again. And yeah, let's hit this head right here. Okay, we actually ripped off all the HP burns, which is kind of bad. That's kind of bad. So that's one downside of this particular team. You got to be careful. So we actually had a couple of weak hits. So that's certainly a downside with Dark Kael. He's not going to work effortlessly, as you can see. Like, there is going to be some thought and all of that that's going to need to be put into it, which is maybe a bit awkward. So we can put out a bunch of poisons, and then Dark Kael can extend them, which is actually going to be pretty huge. So here we go. We can extend these poisons for nice damage against these two heads. And yeah, Dark Kael, he's doing his thing. Let's try to get a decreased speed on this guy as well for the 2 turns until he cleanses anyway. And we can see that Dark Kael, with the build I have him in, is actually quite squishy. Nice. We didn't get the well, unfortunately we didn't get the decreased defense. That would have been good. But we're coming in on normal, and we're actually slamming through here, aren't we? We're actually doing just fine. Dark Kael is going to collapse at any moment in time. He is going to die, which is fine, because if he dies, it's going to actually move the timer for Devour into someone else. I would say you would want to build him tankier. I don't have him built tanky enough for this at this particular point. And you can see that it is something of a weakness. Can we get decreased defense? We cannot. Let's put out the HP burn again. Absolutely. Let's put out the decreased defense and all that. That's going to be nice. We'll try to get weaken on somebody. We'll get it on them. And yeah, we're doing pretty okay here on this. I'm actually pretty happy. At this point, you know what? Let's just go for some explosions. Let's try blow up this head. Boom, look at that damage coming out from Dark Kael. Really, really nice damage right there. Again, just try to get the decreased speed on Head of Mischief. We're not getting any luck. I'm going to be potentially re-gearing Syl for more stuff like this. Ninja's going to do some really big chunks of damage right there. She did. Okay, perfect. Arbiter can hopefully strip off that increased speed so that doesn't get spread around. Don't want that spread around. Thank you very much. And yeah, we can absolutely put out some more poisons on this head right there. It's not a ton, but it's something. And okay, perfect. Let's, again, whoa, look at that. Just ripping through the head right there. That was super, super cool. This head is also turning into something of a problem. We get the nice heal from Arbiter. And let's actually go with just some AoE damage from Syl. Will be better with War Master. Let's smack this head. He might actually die from the poisons is what I'm thinking. See if we can pop this head. There we go. That does some damage to the heads that are burned, which is all of them. Looks like Syl's going to go down, but we should have a revive hopefully soon. What do I want to do here? So what we could actually do... Yeah, we could put the poisons onto this head. That might be worth. Not sure. Not 100% sure if worth or not. We can revive Syl. Lovely. Now hopefully Dark Kael ain't gonna die. He's gonna take damage from poisons. He didn't get targeted, so he should be fine. We get healed when this head goes down. Okay, so not the worst. Not the worst. I'm gonna start slamming in some damage here. I think we're gonna get like a nice 1 key here just on the stream today. And we might finish it off. Although it is a little bit hard to say in the sense of, you know, will Dark Kael's damage actually fully translate to the end screen? I don't think so. But I think this is still a pretty interesting illustration of the sort of stuff you can do. Decreased defense is going to help somewhat, but this head is so fast, we're probably not going to get much more done. Boost our speed. Hopefully we get more of a go. Arbiter can decrease his attack a bit. Nice, that actually depletes their turn meter. Ah, not enough, not enough. But here we go. Dark Kael, what sort of damage can you do against this head? Boom, lots of nice damage right there. Not too bad. We'll slap the Head of Mischief as well. Try get decreased speed right there. Didn't get it. But we're easily coming up to this 1 key right here with this team. Obviously, some of these champions, in fact, a good few of these champions are not, you know, easy to get poisons actually on everything. That's pretty awesome. Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, this is going to be 1 key. You know what? I'll get it to the 1 key point and then we might leave it. I'm going to attempt to just pop a bunch of these poisons. Not bad. All right. Slam that head once again. Yeah, Dark Kael, he's doing some work. The only thing I'm sad about is that the poison explosions I don't think are going to be credited to him. But let's just get it to the 1 key mark, which should come up as soon as this head gets a bit more beaten up. Let's get a decreased speed. We might get more AoE attacks in on this particular head if we're lucky. I think we will. Yeah, I'll just go for the AoE here at this point. To hit both of them for some potential Giant Slayer. Don't know if worth or not. We hope Ninja hits the right stuff. Actually, you know what? The stuff he hit wasn't too bad. We can boost our speed. And look at that. We actually well surpassed the damage we need for the 1 key here. Obviously, Ninja helping out a ton. But yeah, you know what? I'm going to run the rest of this key out. And we'll see where we come at the end. Let's do it. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back immediately because let's keep it going because Head of Wrath just showed up. Which is pretty scary stuff. Does mean no Head of Mischief. So that's nice. We also haven't been eaten at this point, which is kind of hilarious. So to really help us melt through this head, we can actually put all those things on him, which is going to be pretty great. This is where it does get sort of scary because Head of Wrath is going to take a lot of turns. That's going to be kind of scary here. The reason he's going to take so many turns is because these HP burns are going to keep ticking, and they are definitely going to have an effect. But with Dark Kael giving us another source of decreased attack and extending these debuffs, that should help us, hopefully, survive. Hopefully, we shall see. Let's try blow these up here. Boom, boom, boom. Not too bad. Trying to break down this shield. So look at that. He actually removed it through the poison cloud. Now he's going to take an extra turn, so it's not the end of the world. Again, I'm going to try land the decreased speed. So this turned into sort of a random, we're going to do a Hydra normal key, but I just want to see at least the sort of stuff that this head is going to do. So he's going to smack us, and it does certainly get kind of scary here. So might actually wipe us out. We're not built to deal with this head directly. One of our champions has been eaten while behind this. Okay, Dark Kael has gone down, but Arbiter hopefully has a res. She does. Good. And then let's definitely up our HP. Okay. Now this is where it's scary because he's going to smack us again with increased attack and his buff. So this might wipe us. This might be the end. This might be a goodbye cruel world situation. I tell you what we can do. Do we want to boost our speed here? Yeah, let's boost our speed a little bit. Hopefully Arbiter. I guess she's not going to be able to fully remove the increased attack. That's kind of a bummer. And he's behind the poison. Okay. Is there a reason to extend our debuffs here? It would reduce the damage he's going to potentially do to us. Yeah, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's extend some of those debuffs. That hurt like hell, but we're still standing. We are still alive. I'm going to pick Tomb Lord back up. Okay. And now we sort of bide our time. Let's keep trying to smash this shield and take this guy down. Ooh, very scary stuff. I will want to heal up here. Okay. At this point, we can put more... there's no point in putting more poisons. Let's just attempt to blow this up with Dark Kael. He did okay. He did okay. This old Head of Wrath is causing some troubles, to be completely honest. We'll slow down this head as well. All right, cool. Still, yeah, you just come in. Let's just try break this shield. This is a fairly intense one right here. Do I want to res right now? I kind of do. Yeah, I definitely do, because we can remove the increased attack. That's actually going to be pretty valuable. It's a pity that he's going to cleanse the decreased attack, I think, before we get a go. Yeah, but he didn't kill us, which is good. Ooh. Didn't kill us, we say. It's getting kind of sketchy. Let's definitely put that decreased, all that decreased stuff back on. And again, the HP burn. So this particular team, yeah, this team does not have a good time with Head of Wrath. I can tell you that much for free. I can absolutely tell you that much for free. We'll put out some poisons for a bit more damage here. He might shield up this dude again. We might just die from Head of Wrath. I think this is going to be a quick run. But nonetheless, showing some of what Dark Kael does. Arbiter's still not dead. Oh, she's dead now. Oh. No. Whoa. Oh, Arbiter. Arbiter refusing to die. Oh, man, I've never seen anything like it. Truly incredible. He did put the shield back on. So whoever, I can't even remember. Ninja's inside. Yeah, and now this dude, he's freaking, what a pain in the butt. Let's try remove at least some of these debuffs. Okay, Dark Kael. Well, you can put... This is a really nice thing. He's putting some of those poisons on. I mean, it's helpful-ish, right? It's helpful-ish. We could... I guess we hit this guy, try to decrease his speed, get him off our backs at least a little bit. It kind of helps, but not super, really. I mean, he's going to give himself increased attack again. I think we just die because we have a lack of block debuffs, right, to stop him getting increased attack. I'm pretty sure we just die whenever he gets another turn. We can't break this guy free. Oof. Oof. Uh-oh. As soon as he is triggered here, we are dead. Can we get to the 10 mil, though? Maybe. Dark Kael, try do something. Here we go. Goodbye, cruel world. I think. Yeah. Goodbye, cruel world. We're going to get 10 million. Yeah, there we go. 10 million on the dot. Okay, I was worried. I was like, I want to restart this to make sure we get 10 mil. But there you go. Dark Kael in this sort of team. I mean, this is only Hydra normal, right? Obviously, Tomb Lord can be replaced with Stag Knight. Ninja doing work there. Ninja doing really well. Again, Dark Kael doesn't get full credit for blowing stuff up. But you can see in this comp, even on normal Hydra, admittedly, we didn't have a team designed to deal with Head of Wrath, but we were a bit too squishy. We'd want more defensive stats on him here. This is where his direct damage isn't that important. Whereas it is in the dungeons, you kind of want to just get some extra damage out just to make your dungeon farm faster. So this is where you'd be putting him in much tankier gear and you'd make him just faster and better. He'd still be really good in Relentless here, by the way. Relentless would still be great. But yeah, not too shabby. I don't actually know if I wanted to do a Hydra normal key this week, but I guess we have. So there you go. I guess for science, I guess it's worth it for science. Yeah, I hadn't planned that and I just kind of got a bit carried away. Maybe a bad idea in a guide. I mean, was that a good idea in a guide video or not? It's probably a bad idea. Probably too long. Anyway, guys, look. There you are. Decisions have been made. That's Dark Kael. What do I think of him? I think he's a really good champion. Like I said, the stats at the end of each of your runs don't really reflect what he's actually doing. That doesn't reflect the debuff extension. It doesn't reflect the debuff explosions. And those two things are like properly good. They're properly quality. I think they're really, really nice. We obviously didn't see him against Demon Lord in today's video. I don't have a Demon Lord comp ready to go for him. But I think that, for Demon Lord, he can definitely be good. He can definitely be really good. I think that he's probably better than probably any of the other epic poisoners. I think he's probably the best epic poisoner, the best epic damage dealer for Hydra. For Demon Lord clan boss after Geomancer. I think Geomancer's better than probably Dark Kael. Dark Kael is certainly up there. He's going to be very strong against Demon Lord. Or he'd probably even work pretty well in combination with Geomancer for Demon Lord as well. For like a non-unkillable team, he's going to work well in unkillable teams. Of course, he is going to be outperformed by things like Dracomorph, but yeah, guess what? You don't get Dracomorph as the 4th champion from Doom Tower normal. So that's pretty good for Dark Kael. So yeah, this guy, he's very good. He's really, really good. This is definitely a champion to be excited about when you get him. I think the AI changes have made him much better because you can target Weaver of Woes. If you are sad that you didn't get Ninja, don't worry too much. You can look forward to Dark Kael, who sort of replicates a good chunk of what Ninja does. And yeah, I think one of the main downsides right now, I suppose, is that he combos particularly well with one of my favorite champions, Elenarl. I think she was the second champion I ever did a guide for on the channel. Combos extremely well with Elenarl. So if you don't have her, it's a bit awkward. Xavia can do the same sort of thing. So he can combo decently well with Xavia as well. But you're going to run into affinity issues because Dark Kael is blue, Xavia is red. So, you know, the dungeon floors where they're both going to be good is only going to be against blue floors, which makes it kind of awkward. So that is one thing to watch out for with Xavia, but he could potentially work with her as well. And then, of course, you know, if they ever add more of these Poison Explosion champions in the future, then it's going to be really good. But yeah, Dark Kael, great champion, really good champion. Poison Explosion Master works really well in those teams. If you don't have Poison Explosion, he can be a boss killer in ninja sort of style, sort of a pseudo ninja. I think you build him tanky. He can be good for non-unkillable clan boss teams and Hydra. And yeah, just a champion with tons of potential. Absolutely tons. I've been impressed with him. I've only had him for a day. But there you go, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I'll see you next time for hopefully a shorter guide. Bye-bye.